Ecuador's President Guillermo Lasso signed a decree dissolving the Congress in the midst of the impeachment trial against him under corruption charges. In Italy, authorities reported at least 8 dead, several missing, and about 5,000 people evacuated due to the floods that severely affected several localities in the region of Emilia-Romagna. In Sudan, different nations continue providing humanitarian aid and evacuating civilians, while the fighting between the army and the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces persists. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. On Wednesday, Ecuador's President Guillermo Lasso addressed the nation and announced he had signed a decree dissolving the Congress in the midst of the impeachment trial against him under corruption charges. Under the decree 148 of the Constitution, dubbed Cross-Death, the president's power dissolves parliament, prompted snap elections, as both branches of government cease their functions. In an official statement, Lasso alleges political crisis in the country and internal commotion as the main reasons behind the decision. With the dissolution of parliament, Lasso will be able to govern for up to 6 months by decree with the control of the Constitutional Court. However, he will have to call presidential and legislative elections. The winner of these polls will complete the current presidential and legislative term, which ends in May 2025. Lasso faced corruption charges for alleged embezzlement in the management of the state-owned shipping company Flota Petrolera Ecuatoriana, better known as Flopec. And regarding this topic, we have some information from Ecuador from our correspondent Estefania Bravo. Let's listen.
Yes, this is Estefania Bravo reporting from Quito. And yes, as you've mentioned, President Guillermo Lasso has dissolved Congress and has decreed what is called muerte cruzada, which means that he has dissolved Parliament. So appealing to the Article 148 of the Constitution, he has decreed this dissolution, arguing the evidence of serious political crisis and internal commotion. Assembly members tried to enter the Congress today, but were unable to do so because the armed forces were outside and told them that they could not enter there. So we are trying to see what happens next. What should happen is in the next 7 days, the CNE will have to decree when we will have general elections in Ecuador for president, vice president, so on and so forth. So you will see what comes up next. As you can see here in Quito, everything seems as calm as possible. We will have to see if any protests or anything comes in the future, but so far everything remains at peace.
Thank you, Estefania, for this report. And as we were saying, Ecuador dawned on Wednesday with a new political move. President Guillermo Lasso, under an impeachment trial for corruption, also decided to dissolve the parliament, invoking a constitutional decree. Regarding this political situation in that Central American nation, we will dialogue with Felipe Ogasso, who is an anthropologist and historian. We welcome Felipe.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Ecuador saw the first impeachment trial on the president in its history, and also the first calling for cross-death, which is the Congress dissolution, as we were saying, since its inclusion in the Constitution in 2008. What does this says about the political situation in the nation, and which is the build-up to this moment?
Well, there is a lot of tension now in the country because every political movement and organization are taking decisions. I think that the most of them are thinking in the next elections. You know, in 90 days, we are going to have new elections, but no one knows how to act right now. And we think that Lasso take this measure because he has no choice to govern in any way. He was to be the post, so he take this coward position and dissolve the assembly and call for new elections. So there is lots of tension. There's some people in the streets crossing the roads, but there is no official position of the biggest social and political forces. We are waiting for the CONAIE, you know, the the biggest movement social here in Ecuador, which is the indigenous organization. What they say before they said that if the President Lasso calls for the death cross, they will be in the streets immediately. So we are tense waiting for that moment. Also, we think that the biggest electoral party, which is Revolución Ciudadana from Rafael Correa, I think they are thinking in candidates right now. So there is tension and confusion just now.
Okay, Felipe, so many analysts and former parliamentarians qualify as illegal Lasso's latest move invoking the cross-death, la muerte cruzada, this resource. As they say, there is no emergency situation in the nation so as to use the decree. As we know, this move annuls all the advances in his impeachment trial. So what's the underbelly of this move? Which is the reality?
He is a coward. He don't want to end his period by the trial, by the impeachment, and he wants to preserve his dignity, I think. But he's not making that. We all know that he just lost the recent survey that he made. So I think that the reality is that he wants to finish this in this way, but here is the danger, the real danger. He's going to govern by decree for 6 months. So he's going to try to privatize the social security and also to end a lot of rights of the workers, you know. He's going to go to flexibilize the labor and, you know, neoliberalism in its pure state. So I think the reality is Lasso is finished, but he wants to finish his period with some dignity. But let's wait and see if the people take the streets and show his discontent. Also, we must think in that for the political and electoral forces, this will be good. Remember that in the latest elections, local elections, Revolución Ciudadana wins the biggest city and the biggest province in the country.
Lasso's decision now prompts the National Electoral Council to call for general elections to choose a new head of state, a new vice president, and also the new lawmakers. Which are the possible outcomes, the results in this new scenario? How could it shape Ecuador's political situation?
I think that Revolución Ciudadana will win as they win in the latest elections. I think that maybe the other parties will make an alliance against Revolución Ciudadana, but I think that Lasso and Lenín Moreno has been so awful governments that the people in general are missing for Rafael Correa's government. And what I fear about is that to stop this winning, the military of the police force make some move and preserve Lasso in the power, like a coup d'etat. So I think the outcome of the election, if they let them happen, will be that Revolución Ciudadana will win by far, as in just in the recent election. But if they fear that, they maybe activate some kind of dictatorship or something. That is the fear I have.
Yeah, we suspect that too. And now we have a final question for you. Social and indigenous organizations like CONAIE, as you were saying, openly rejected Lasso's move, the same ones that protested governmental neglect and mismanagement on June 2022. Given their grip on political sectors, their power, could they have some leverage in this situation?
Yes, of course, they are the biggest social force in this country. I think that maybe the leadership are tempted to make an alliance with Revolución Ciudadana, but the basis of this organization has been persecuted by Rafael Correa So, goes.
So we were confronting technical issues in this interview, but we thank for his time and also his presence here in TeleSUR English, and from the south to Felipe Oviedo, who is an anthropologist and also a historian. Now we go to a short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The former paramilitary commander Salvadore Mancuso Gomez acknowledged Tuesday before Colombia's Peace Tribunal that the ultra-right-wing squads that he led in the late 1990s had orders to assassinate then the left-wing leader and now president of the nation, Gustavo Petro. Mancuso's statement was made via the internet before the Special Jurisdiction for Peace, a justice mechanism created after the signing of the peace accords in 2016. They also former commander of the paramilitary group United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia, the AUZ, said that from the central level the objective was defined that would fulfill that paramilitary group by order of José Miguel Narváez, the former deputy director of the DAS. According to Mancuso, Narváez gave them a list of military targets that included Petro, Leiva, Alirio, Muñoz, the current member of the House of Representatives for the Historical Pact, former Senator Piedad Córdoba, and the then secretary of the Communist Party, Jaime Caicedo. Mancuso was extradited to the U.S. in 2008 and is now seeking to apply to the Special Jurisdiction for Peace, obtaining benefits in his eventual return to Colombia. On Tuesday, Paraguayan President-elect Santiago Pena met with the President of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva. Both presidents expressed their optimism about the demands of the European Union and ratified the trade agreements signed in 2019. During the meeting, Pena emphasized both countries support the agreement between the European Union and Mercosur, which includes Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay. He also expressed his common position with Brazil about some restrictions, mainly in environmental terms, which are very hard for a region of the world that needs to develop. The meeting also reviewed the main issues on the bilateral and regional agenda, including cooperation on the Itaipu hydroelectric dam, which is jointly owned by Brazil and Paraguay, as well as the continuity of infrastructure projects and the fight against transnational crime in border areas.
I will support the integration process in every sphere, be it UNASUR, PROSUR, CELAC, and of course Mercosur, which is our closest sphere of integration.
Now we move on to other topics. On Wednesday, in the northeastern Italy, authorities reported 8 people dead, several missing, and about 5,000 people were evacuated due to the floods that severely affected several localities in the region of Emilia-Romagna. The torrential rains caused up to 14 rivers and torrents to burst their banks as they passed through the cities of Cesena, Faenza, and Riccione, which were completely flooded. The Minister for Civil Protection, Nello Musumeci, explained on Wednesday that for the moment, about 5,000 people have had to be evacuated. Musumeci also said that several sports centers have been prepared as the number of evacuees is expected to increase. A total of 600 firefighters have been deployed from across Italy to assist in the affected areas, the Italian Department for Civil Protection said in a tweet. On Wednesday, the prison sentence imposed on the former French President Nicolas Sarkozy for corruption and influence peddling in the wiretapping case was confirmed. In the decision, the magistrates imposed 3 years of imprisonment, including 1 year of mandatory imprisonment. However, according to the court, the former head of state will be able to serve his sentence under house arrest and with an electronic bracelet. Sarkozy was found guilty of a crime committed in 2014, 2 years after leaving power, when, according to the sentence, he used his influence to obtain benefits in another case. Following Wednesday's ruling, his only remaining option is to challenge the ruling with the Supreme Court in a term of 5 days. In Germany, police forces suppressed pro-Palestinian protests in the city of Berlin. According to local media, the agents attacked the demonstrators with tear gas as they were commemorating the 75th anniversary of the forced expulsion of some 750,000 Palestinians from their homes. The demonstrators also prevailed in the streets carrying the traditional Palestinian headscarf, the kufiya, Palestinian flags, and posters recalling the sacrifice in the struggle for freedom. Although the commemorative events were held all over the world, the German government, for the second year in a row and under Israeli pressure, banned any event in remembrance of the ethnic cleansing and destruction of the Palestinian society in 1948. And TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries using StarSat. Dial 461 and please enjoy our Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Tuesday in Australia, 18 children were injured, 7 of them seriously, in a school bus accident involving students between the ages of 5 and 11 in the city of Melbourne. Local authorities confirmed that 45 students from Exford Elementary School were returning home on Tuesday afternoon when a truck collided with the back of the school bus, causing the vehicle to overturn on the side of the road. The emergency responders who were attending to the scene of the accident and people who were in the area pulled the children who were trapped inside the bus. Victoria State Police indicated that 7 of the children are seriously injured, including one who remains in intensive care.
We received 9 patients yesterday, 2 of whom fortunately were discharged from the emergency department with minor injuries. We admitted 7 patients. One of those patients is in our intensive care unit at the moment. The ages of the children range from 5 to 11 years. The children have suffered multiple and traumatic injuries, including partial and complete amputations of arms, multiple crushed limb injuries, severe lacerations to head and body, head injuries, glass shard injuries, and 3 patients are currently receiving spinal support and being monitored carefully in terms of spinal injuries.
In Sudan, on Wednesday, local media confirmed that different nations continue providing humanitarian aid and evacuating civilians, while the fighting between the army and the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces, which started last April 15th, continues. On Tuesday, a Qatari and Egyptian military aircraft loaded with tons of humanitarian and medical aid arrived at Port Sudan Airport. The supplies arrived at a time when the number of dead from the clashes has risen to 822 and more than 3,200 wounded, according to the latest statement issued by the Union of Doctors of Sudan. In other parts of the United Nations Office for Humanitarian Affairs also pointed out that the conflict has left 936,000 people displaced.
This is the 6th humanitarian aid trip that includes medical aid and some medical devices that our brothers in Sudan need. The package contains 35 tons of medical solutions and blood donation bags that are much needed in Sudan.
In Senegal, at least 3 people died during protests supporting opposition leader Ousmane Sonko before he was supposed to attend a postponed rape trial in a court in Dakar on Tuesday. The Interior Ministry reported that 2 people were found dead in the car and seen the shore after the protests, and 1 police officer died when an armored police car accidentally hit him. On Monday night, buses were burned, shops were attacked, and people clashed with police in the capital and in Sonko's hometown during violent violent demonstrations. Sonko remained in Singapore, where the unrest started when his supporters tried to protect him from a possible arrest to force him to be present in court. The politician denies the charges and said there was a plot to remove him from the presidential race. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.